Today we are visiting a Polish Cold War Armed Forces command post, and it is still fully equipped. We get to see it shown to us by two of the men who served here and was ready to take their place in history if Poland was going to invade Denmark, as was the plan. The Cold War holds somewhat different meanings to many people, depending on where in the world they were. In the US, people were constructing fallout shelters, bomb-proof basements, and the military was constructing missile silos and huge command bunkers inside mountains. The greatest threat in the US was a Russian nuclear strike, first by bombers, and later by ICBM rockets striking American cities. In Europe, the expected danger was mainly a land invasion, by thousands of Russian tanks supported by thousands of planes, and further supported by tactical nuclear devastation, but generally a huge land war and nuclear strikes on major cities. In many countries, the local and civil defense forces operated generally in the same way, east and west. In Denmark, you had a National Guard who would deploy close to where they lived, just like the Ukrainian Territorial Guards did in 2022. These men were of great concern to the Russians, as they knew that they would know their infrastructure extremely well. They would be coordinated by local emergency command posts, and in small Denmark, there are several large bunkers for government and military, and there were also 125 regional CPs or command posts in cities, from where emergency services, police, military, along with local government, would coordinate all events. In Poland, a similar system was in place, and of course, very secret. Nobody would know where these CPs were. We're going to one, in the eastern Polish city of Przemysl, bordering with Ukraine. This is a town of centuries of intense military historical importance. That I will cover in many later episodes. Today we're going to visit a very special and until recently secret place. Years after the Cold War ended, here was one of these hidden CPs. It was opened and still preserved, and now guarded by the two of the men who served here. And today they are going to show us their secrets. So let's go to school. Literally, because it was secretly placed under a regular school.
Kids didn't know in the school. The teachers didn't know. Parents didn't know.
This is the shelter. Nobody knew it exists.
Yeah, it just looks like any part of the building.
Yeah.
So a regular run-of-the-mill grade school?
Yep. And imagine that they put a command center beneath the school.
So this was this wasn't even a shelter, this was a command center?
Yeah, it's a command center.
For the army or for?
For the army.
For the army. So was this was Polish army or Russian army?
Polish army.
Was the Russians were not involved in this?
No, but probably we would be cooperated together.
Did you have autonomy in that sense?
I don't know, can you use that word?
Could you do whatever you...
No, I will tell you where's the problem. We would say we have an autonomy, but it was like a secret agreement. Nobody tells you that. But if the Russia would say jump, we would just ask how high. You know how it was.
Yeah, that's kind of what I figured. So autonomy within control.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So when did this get discovered? In '91? Polish auxiliary police or reserve? Militia.
First, it was operated by army, then by militia.
So they actually worked during the Cold War.
So they finished in 1995. For the last time, the shelter as a command center was used in 1991 when Pope John II has came to Przemysl. Okay? And at the 2005, that was the year when the shelter stopped to being a secret place. And then it could be opened up for public. Since then they worked here as a museum.
That's nice. So the regular entrance, and this is the original door?
Yeah.
So nobody knew?
Yeah.
All right, so the first thing I see that I have to ask about is Why is there a weight scale in here?
To są wojskowe.
It was used as for a control period when young people has came here to the shelter, and it was used for doctors.
So they actually had a doctor's checkup for some of the people who worked here?
Yeah.
Well, tell me everything.
This is the main entrance. To jest główne wejście, nie?
Tu już jest główne wejście. Tu już wchodzimy.
Ciekawostka.
1969?
1962.
1962.
It's upside down, so 1962.
Oh.
So they already knew at the 1962 that those doors are gonna came here to that shelter. So they start to build that school in 1960, and the school was supposed to be used as a military hospital.
Okay, so it wasn't originally a school.
That was a school, but if there would be
Of course, yeah.
some conflict, the school
Yeah.
would be used as a military hospital.
Yeah, that's kind of normal for any
Teraz
war
na
since.
66 roku wchodzi załoga.
Okay, so the first crew came to the shelter in 1966. Okay, so the crew inside is working 24 hours, then they got 48 hours of free time, and there's 3 sets of the people that work in here for 24 hours.
So how long do they stay inside before they relieve for the next crew?
24 hours.
Only 24 hours?
24 hours,
So
yes.
they do literally one day, full day shift?
Yeah, full day shift, and then 48 hours they got free time.
Okay. How many people were here?
Ile osób jest?
14.
14.
And if war broke out?
W razie wojny?
W razie wojny 14 do
14 all the time.
14.
Still
Ile
14.
się zależy, ile się zamelduje. Jak padnie rozkaz,
Tak,
to wtedy...
no dlatego 14, że to było centrum kierowane.
Okay, only 14 because that was the center, command center, so there's only 14 people in the crew.
Okay.
No,
To co? Wchodzimy.
wchodzimy. Okay, so the road goes straight ahead, but if there would be a nuclear attack, you're not going straight ahead. You're going here, turn down on the right. You have to take your clothes, clean yourself.
Yeah.
You know.
So this the airlock and the disinfection?
Yep.
Yeah.
W tym momencie musi być śluzowanie.
Czyli drzwi muszą zamknąć.
Muszą
So in
wszyscy
that
wejść.
moment you have to enter, then we have to close the doors. The last guy that goes to the shelter, he's got 10 minutes to close the doors.
Czekam.
Sorry, 10 seconds. Yeah, 10 seconds.
Czekam. No, w tym momencie przechodzimy następne. Tu nie można świecić w tej śluzie białego światła.
Okay.
Tylko czerwone.
Okay, so we cannot use a white light here, only a red one.
I hope that doesn't count for right now.
Yeah, that doesn't count.
Tu już możesz świecić białe światło. Tak wyglądał kiedyś żołnierz,
This is the uniform that they used
która tutaj służyła.
for the guys that have been serving here.
Wracając z pola po uderzeniu nuklearnym, to trzeba było mieć na sobie.
After there would be a nuclear attack, they have to use that kind of the outfit. So in this part of the shelter, you're taking everything from, all the clothes. You stay standing actually naked,
Yeah.
right here.
To jest ważny przyrząd.
That device shows you is it safe outside or not.
What is that? The original 60s version?
Yeah, it's original. It was made in Russia. Yeah, this one's from 1970.
Tego
1970.
typu były stosowane w Czarnobylu w katastrofie.
Yeah, they used something like that in Chernobyl.
Bardzo dobrze działają i
Ja?
bardzo dobrze sprawdzają. Stąd przechodzimy i musimy się odkazić, czyli wykąpać.
That is so 1960s all over Europe.
Yeah, I remember that when I was a kid.
I remember that when I was a kid too.
You see, now we have to take a shower.
Yep.
Cała jest kąpiel, całe odkażanie. W momencie, kiedy po wybuchu nuklearnym jest uderzenie, to już nie używamy wody.
Okay.
Tylko mamy zapas wody w zbiorniku i wtedy lejemy na siebie wiatraka.
Okay, so after a nuclear attack, we don't use a water from the system, but we are using water from the water tank that we got here inside.
Yeah.
Teraz jak żeśmy się odkazili, czyli wykąpali albo na odwrót, to przechodzimy już do korytarza głównego.
This is far nicer than the Russian built shelters.
Think so?
Yeah, I do. Russian built shelters are more crappier and smaller doors and
It's like that's why it's typical.
Yeah, no, this is much nicer than the Russian nuclear shelters for their army.
Mówi, że jest nasze lepsze niż w Rosji, to co widział, tam są jakieś takie malutkie te wszystkie strony, nie?
Tak, oni się tam nie szczypią z ludźmi.
No właśnie.
Ten robi na papierach radzieckich. Tutaj musiałbyś przetrwać po ataku 3 dni na papierach radzieckich, na polskich 7 dni.
Okay, so that shelter, when it was open, it was prepared for according to Russian regulations, it was prepared for 3 days that you have to survive here after a nuclear attack. But according to Polish regulations, you would have to save here 7 days. This is the original paint that we got on the floor.
It's very cheerful.
To wszystko, co tutaj macie, co widzicie, to wszystko są oryginały, które
Okay, so
zostały.
everything that we see here is original. So there shouldn't be any tears on the floors. This is the new thing from 1990s when the Cold War was over, because there should be only a concrete and the paint. The same we got in the toilet, because you got the toilet right here. There's a guy sitting there. He's saying it's occupied, but he shouldn't be sitting here. It was supposed to be a kind of a toilet that you just kneel on it. The old style.
Really?
Yeah.
The Russians still use those in the Cold War?
Yeah, and it's still in using on Ukraine.
I know. I've been to the bases in the bathroom. I know. I thought they were kidding.
No, they're not.
I know.
Tu jest oryginalna.
Oh, okay. So the day has been too sweepy, so that's why they didn't use them. This is the original
I
form.
proszę na tym się
yeah.
poślizgnąć.
Take a look.
Nie ma możliwości.
This is sweepy.
Yep.
That one is completely not.
So did they change because they started wearing different boots, or just
No,
because
they
didn't
changed
need
it because in 1991 nobody cares about the regulations.
Oh.
Teraz wejdziemy na ważne pomieszczenie, czyli na ważną śluzę, czyli wchodzimy na filtry.
And here we got a filter room.
Oh yes. Standard Russian issue.
Air condition.
Air condition.
Lepiej to brzmi.
So
Filter room.
finally, I can ask somebody because he worked here, and this is the question I've always asked.
Dobra, czy ja chcę zapytać kogoś, kto tu pracował?
What is the lifetime of the filters?
Jaka jest żywotność filtru?
I już mówię.
Okay, so about the filter. If there would be a blast 9 kilometers from Przemyśl, that filter was supposed to work 12, tak?
6 godzin.
6 hours. If there would be blast 40 kilometers from Przemyśl, it was supposed to work 12. Then you have to change it. So there would be a lead barrel, and you throw everything to that barrel, and you change the filter.
So how many spare filters? So they would have spare filters for 3
Yeah,
days?
they have a spare filters. Ile ich mieliśmy zapasowych tutaj w schronie?
54 powinno być.
Okay, so there was supposed to be 54 spare filters here.
I get an answer to that question.
Yeah, and all of them are marked. So if you would be a spy, you would know where they are going to, which shelter.
So they actually marked them from the factory to where they were going?
Yeah.
But they're all standardized, aren't they?
Doesn't matter. So the filter has been standardized. That's true. But in military, everything has to be in order. That's why if you would need to take a spare filter from the storage place, you have to fill the papers. They have to know where this filter is going. That's why every filter was marked.
What must sign?
Almost. So that guy is the most important person in the shelter, because if there would be a blast, he's got 3 or 4 seconds to start operate the filters.
So it's all manual, it's not electrical?
It's all manual. The filters work also on electricity, but if the blast would came, all of the electricity would be cut.
So there's no local generator here?
It is,
Yeah.
but before the generator is gonna
kicks
start
in
that,
and-
or it will be destroyed or something like that. This guy is operating all the time. Okay, so there was 2 of those guys working on shifts, and the third one that was a commander of them.
Tam w odcinku będziesz miał gdzie Andrzej poszedł bezpiecznie.
Dobra.
Nie wolno było gotować.
Okay.
Tu mamy pomieszczenie socjalne.
Okay, so this is the
Wiadomo.
kitchen. So the food was bringing here from local restaurants, but the people that bring the food here to the shelter, they've been checked 3 generations down.
Okay.
You have to remember that's very deep communism time in Poland.
Yes.
So it wasn't easy. All of the products that you see here, they are completely original and they are from this period.
What's the purple thing?
Purple thing.
Aj, tu, o.
Nie, pytało, wiesz, o denaturat, nie?
A this is drink.
Do naturatu jeszcze powrócimy, bo będzie taki jeden taki fajny kawałek. Tu jest
They're gonna
tytoń
tell you that
papierosowy.
later.
Żeby nie być gołosłownym, to jest
This is a
tytoń
tobacco.
papierosowy
Of course,
popularny
cigarettes.
i data
You
produkcji.
see the date?
O, żeby dobrze było widać.
1991. 2nd September.
Przed stanem wojennym.
Thing still good?
It's a tobacco, what could happen with that? It's dry, so I think you could smoke that.
We'll try that.
Jeszcze przed stanem wojennym.
We can go to the Pike Museum.
Ja jestem osobą palącą. Jakbym zapalił teraz ten tytoń, o ja.
So he's a smoker, and he said if he would smoke that right now, probably he would lose his conscience. Okay, so you couldn't smoke inside of the building.
I would hope not.
No, you couldn't because all of the filters would have to start running
Yeah.
at that time.
Oryginalne produkty. Kawa zbożowa, w środku jest kawa, mąka, cukier,
So that
w
everything is
kostkach
original
cukier,
from the 60s.
kisiel, galaretka.
What are these?
It's like for kids.
Like you mix it.
Yeah, you mix it
dessert
with
mix
water.
type thing?
Yeah, it's a dessert. You mix that with water.
Yeah, we have those too.
Kisiel, ptysie.
It's a cream. Sorry, I was looking for this word. It's a cream.
I z połem najważniejszy i jedyny potentat na rynku gastronomicznym w Polsce.
Yeah, so this Poland company, that was the only company during that time in Poland that was producing that kind of things. Everything that you got in restaurants, all the plates and whatever, they've been produced based Poland.
All the pottery I find
Yeah,
on sites
yeah,
for.
yeah.
And of course, you have the cognac glasses.
Yes, yes.
Yes, yes.
Well,
We can't let the work get in the way of a good drink. I mean, come on now.
Tu mamy,
alcohol was
tu mamy ciekawe rozwiązanie, mianowicie ta oto szklanka. What is this?
this is a glass for mustard.
To jest naczynie po musztardzie.
Yeah.
Gdy już musztardę wykorzystano, myło się tą szklaneczkę i służyła ona do...
Jako
So-
podziałka.
Listen up, listen carefully. That is a glass that was filled with mustard. You could buy it in every shop.
Yes.
If you eat off the mustard, you clean the glass and you always drink alcohol from it when there was a communism time in Poland. Why? Because you can set the alcohol here.
You know what? My great-great-grandmother, she cleaned her mustard glasses.
She
And
did
that's
the
what
same
did.
thing.
She kept all
In
the
Denmark.
all her classes in Denmark were mustard glasses.
Jego babcia w Danii też czyściła, czyli you see, that's a
podobnie.
pattern.
Tradycja jest.
A tradition.
That's really cool. I do enjoy that.
Jeszcze jedna rzecz. Taka herbata
The
była
tea.
sprzedawana w sklepach w okresie PRL-u. Tak była pakowana i w środku jest oryginalna herbata.
This is the original tea
Ale to
from...
była prawdziwa.
Yeah, that
Tak,
period,
to była
yeah.
So where's it from? Where did the tea
From
come
India.
from? India.
Yeah.
Jest.
Jest.
I'm sure with everybody. Yeah.
Ale to była naprawdę bardzo dobra
Tak,
herbata.
tak.
To nie te siuszki, co teraz są.
Zwłaszcza te kurcze w tym, nie? W
No i
torebkach, nie?
z Chinami żyło nam się
and
dobrze
that,
i
that one
też.
is from China. It's also a tea
Okay.
from China.
Yeah, I guess you trade. Yeah, I mean that makes sense.
I to były naprawdę...
Here's a recipe how to make a tea. I know it sounds funny, but it actually works.
So this was for officers. Clearly, they
No,
need.
you could buy that in every shop in Poland.
No, I mean if you need to write down how to
Yeah,
make tea,
yeah.
it's-
Yeah, typical glass from that period.
Love
I
those.
still remember those.
Yep. Very much so.
Hot.
I know.
You see, that's a clever thing.
You don't think I don't have 6 tea dresses like that?
You get it?
Of course I do.
No mój żon też ma takie w domu. No.
A, to niepotrzebnie tłumaczyć.
Widzisz?
Just because I live in America doesn't mean I'm not
Sorry,
cultured.
I didn't say that.
No, you could say that. I said that.
Za kuchnię robiła kuchenka.
No, so there was no kitchen here because you couldn't cook here, but you could use that. It's a
Oh, the one-man stove.
yeah.
Yep. It looks a little different than the ones we had, but it's generally the
it
same.
works. Yeah, you know how it is.
Yes. And the radio, remember the radios? That much different. Of course, the USB chargers are new. You're very advanced for the Russian army.
Oh, come on. You haven't seen that.
No, Radio Free Europe. No.
Tak, ale mówisz, że już teraz mamy USB, wiesz, ładowarki USB, nie? Mówię, na rosyjską armię nie wygląda, nie?
How long did they keep playing after World War II? Radio Free Europe.
All the time. It was very important for
Are they
us.
still playing it?
During the communism time, there was a lot of people from Poland that run away to France or Germany, and they've been working in Radio Free Europe. So it was illegal to listen to that in Poland, but it was very important for us.
Of course, I mean that's.
Okay, this is the last room. If you're on the duty, you can rest here.
To jest, tutaj na stronie są 3 sypialnie i tą jedną wam pokazujemy, bo szkoła zamknęła kluczyki, nam
Jasne.
nie oddała. Ale taka sama sypialnia jest tu zaraz obok, trzecia jest w tamtym kierunku i tam śpi 3, ale już dowództwo śpi.
Dobra.
Na łóżkach
So there was
rozkłada.
3 of those rooms here in the shelter. Prepared for soldiers.
I'm just looking at all this stuff. I am so. Yep, I remember I started with black boots. I like the black boots better than the desert crap we have now. Anyway. Helmets. Some things don't change much, do they?
No. If they work okay, what's the sense to change that? Poster that would be typical from that area. You see?
Każdy był
Be
czujny.
aware, because your enemy is everywhere.
Well, it's always nice to go fall asleep with a little paranoia. Cold War paranoia.
Fajnie zasnąć z małą paranoją. Now we are going for duty.
Teraz już tutaj będziecie służyć.
This is a
Żeście
control room.
odpoczywali, bawiliście się, a teraz już służycie.
So this is what the other side looked like.
Yeah. Everything is original.
To już takie,
Mała
That was in use with military and militia.
Still is, isn't it?
Jak
Not that kind.
tutaj
That one is, yeah.
i potrafiła się zakręcić.
That one is made of rubber. They don't use that like, those that they use today are completely different. You know, but if they would hit you right here, it could go around your neck. So,
Yeah. I mean, Danish police I used to have the ones with lead inside rubber, so I mean, I'll take rubber.
no, on mówi, że w Danii policja miała jeszcze, wiesz, wypełnione ołowiem, nie?
No to teraz
So I mean, I'm just saying. I mean,
u nas też całe, to się tak nazywa szumnie wojewódzki ośrodek analizy skażeń. Ale to nikt nie trybi, więc my zawsze mówimy, że to jest dyspozytor.
So now you can hear the message is coming.
yeah.
Tu siedzi 2 osoby,
You get 2 persons here on duty.
a one person stoi, czyli dowódca stoi.
So there will be a commander standing over there.
W tym momencie musiałeś wszystkie meldunki przyjąć, nauczyć. Musisz umieć morsa, musisz dobrze mieć słuch, musisz dobrze wypełniać wszystkie meldunki, które przychodzą. Tutaj było pełno meldunków.
So you have to know the Morse code. You have to write the message that you receive.
So they actually used Morse code. Was that a digital Morse, or did they do over telephone line, a telegraph? How
All,
they-
everything. They use the telephone line, use the digital one, and
So who's communicating with who? What units did they
stąd
actually?
napływały, stąd napływały.
Tu masz bardzo ładnie pokazane, tu masz bardzo ładnie pokazany trzeci kod.
Okay, so all the commands came from Warsaw.
Okay.
It started from Warsaw. You receive a message from Warsaw, goes to Przemyśl, to this command center, and then they have to get this message to all of the companies that you got here.
Struktury ostrzegają.
So what companies are we communicating to? I mean, is this everything, all different army units?
No, those are the
tanks,
companies that been here in the city, you know.
This is the local army units.
Yeah, and also the companies that been here in the city, they produce chemistry or something like that, you know, milk and things like that.
Yeah.
So
there's
you have to
also
warn them.
there's also a civil defense component.
Yes. So if you receive a message from Warsaw, you have to spread this message to the companies in the city, then to the smaller cities around the Przemyśl, and you know the electronics has changed through the years. That part is from 1996, so that works as a recorded. So you can record the message that you received. But before that, you have to write everything down.
So you end
the
up
paper.
being able to just transmit. So
Yeah.
this was very much a defense, civil defense.
Yeah.
This is not a headquarters for going to roll tanks.
No, it was
now.
for civil defense.
This was civil defense, area defense.
Yep.
Very much like Denmark. We had for
Same.
we had some 250 of these.
Mm-hmm.
All in every main city in Denmark had a civil defense shelter,
Mm-hmm.
where they would run the civil defense for that area. Very much like this.
Czyli mówisz bardzo podobno jak oni w Danii, nie?
Czyli
Że
to
też
samo.
tak. No. So, when you receive a message, you've been here on the duty, you got only 54 seconds to spread this message through all of the companies in the city and other smaller cities in the around this area, the Przemyśl city. And before 1996, you have to do that, you would have to use a phone and to call to everybody to spread the message. After 1996, you got recorder, so you already had this message record, and you just play the message to everyone. It was easier.
When you said 54 seconds,
Yeah,
you can't make a phone call in 54 seconds.
but you have to.
Okay.
That's how it
I
was.
see the failure in the system.
Mówisz, że nie da, że masz 54 sekundy strasznie mało, że nawet nie da żadnego telefonu wykonać. Nie? That device was top secret. Okay?
I figured.
Completely top secret. Why? It was produced at the end of 70s. And why it was top secret? Look at those lights. They got different shapes, different colors. In those years in Poland, you could buy only czerwone i żółte, tak?
Czerwone.
Czerwone.
Only red lights. And here you got couple colors and couple different shapes. So that device was produced in Eastern Germany. That's why it was so secret.
So the lights, not actually the information on the
No,
board.
the whole
but the
device
lights.
was secret.
Yeah.
To się pokazuje u nas ten kolor tych diodek dopiero w 90 latach.
Tak.
Tak?
Dopiero 90 lata, 92.
Okay.
Nie, 3.
So that color you could get in Poland in 1990s. At the beginning of 1990s.
W sprzęcie audio.
A to już wisiało tutaj i nie wolno było tego.
So you already had that in 1970s here in this room. But in 1990s you could buy those blue lights in Poland. So that map shows us the plan of a war that was prepared. Okay? So we are right here. This is Przemyśl. Okay? A war was supposed to start on June 1970. So the Russians prepared a war that should start from Poland, and Poland should attack Denmark and Holland. According to Russians, there was supposed to 800,000 people died every day in this attack. It's supposed to took them 5 days, and then 2 million of Russian troops supposed to go through Poland and attack the Eastern Europe. In other side, NATO was supposed to attack Poland and Russia by the nuclear bombs, and here you get Przemyśl. They are not supposed to attack Przemyśl, they are supposed to attack Medica and Żurawica. It's not so far from Przemyśl because there was very important train lines over there. And a lot of the most stronger attack should be around the Warsaw, because that was all of the roads that you get been leading through Poland goes right here. So that was supposed to be, everything's supposed to be destroyed over there.
Why 1970? What particularly happened there?
Russia's been well prepared, and the weather reports been saying that in June the weather will be very good for starting the attack. Before that, he wasn't a general, yeah? Kukliński.
Kukliński.
On był pułkownikiem. He was a lieutenant, sorry.
On był zaraz majorem.
Nie, nie,
Okej.
ale już jak w 70 latach to tak, ale w 80 już
Jak
był.
uciekł, był majorem. A to
So a Major Kukliński, he made a copy of those plans and he gave them to Americans. That's why we already knew that what's going to happen if the Russians going to strike on us. Why they didn't strike also? because the weather has changed and there was a very strong wind, and the Russians been afraid if they're gonna use a nuclear weapon.
Are they going to use nuclear first strike?
Yeah, they're gonna start from it.
What about GDR, East Germany? What were they fitting in this?
Well, they've been on our side.
Yeah, but so they would come with the Polish and go Denmark, Holland, and
No Niemcy wschodnie, nie? Oni też byli po naszej stronie, tak?
Tak, to był
Tak.
to
Tu też brali udział,
Układ
nie?
Warszawski.
Yeah. Every country that was in this Warsaw Agreement, the Eastern Front, they are supposed to attack different countries on the east. Like Poland was supposed to attack Denmark and Holland, and probably Czech Republic, and supposed to attack some different countries, and also Eastern Germany.
So what was this Polish invasion plan exactly? Let's take a look. At this time, the Polish army was huge. 865,000 soldiers could be mobilized, 2,880 tanks, 2,750 APCs, over 2,000 artillery pieces, 15 combat divisions, versus today where the US only have 10. And of course, the Russian army was far larger and would follow. The Warsaw Pact expected to defeat all NATO armies in Europe in 2 weeks, expecting also to deploy over 100 nuclear weapons all over Europe during those 2 weeks. The Polish six-day plan to invade Denmark was something like this. On day 1, Eastern European and Polish troops would move across the border from GDR to West Germany. On day 2, Warsaw Pact forces have reached the Kieler Canal and is now approaching the Danish border. Possible resistance removed by nuclear weapons. A naval landing would be attempted by Russian forces onto Schellen. Day 3, the NATO troops in Schleswig-Holstein, Germany, would have been defeated and the soldiers have reached the Danish border on South Jutland. Half of Schellen should by now be engaged with Russian troops having landed. Day 4, the troops have penetrated across the border and are moving up through Jutland and across Fyn, if the bridge had not been blown. Day 5, the soldiers prepare for a big battle on Schellen, merging with Russian forces on the island, where strategic targets would have been destroyed with 5 atomic bombs, 2 on Copenhagen alone. Day 6, the warships enter Køge Bay. Parachute troops are sent over Schellen, and the Eastern European forces move in from Fyn. The result, the Warsaw Pact have conquered Denmark on day 6. Now that was the Warsaw Pact's plan for attacking the West in 1970, starting with the combined land, air, and waterborne landings on Danish islands, supported by nuclear destruction of key targets, simultaneously furiously rushing the NATO front line and fanning out through Germany. In days, thousands of tanks and planes with millions of soldiers would be advancing en masse. The Western response does seem a little somewhat reminiscent of the failed French response to the German invasion in 1940. The French response then was based on mobility and reaction, construction of defenses after rushing into Belgium upon a German invasion, and the British landing forces to support these. It failed, and I would suspect a similar response in 1970 may have failed for the same reason. If the Russians were to attack on a Friday afternoon in a surprise attack, most of the NATO troops would be on their way home on leave. Knowing this, the Russians would strike infrastructure, transportation hubs, and military bases, catching most Danish soldiers away from their bases. However, their equipment, tanks, planes, artillery would be destroyed in place in their bases. That then left the Danish nuclear response. You see, Danish politicians did not want nuclear weapons on Danish soil during peacetime, so these were stored in Germany, which would take several days, as a Danish force would now have to drive across the German border and retrieve the nuclear weapons stored there by U.S. troops. Thereafter, they would have to return with a complement of U.S. soldiers to Denmark to deploy these, which would take at least 2 days, and then now competing with advancing Polish troops forcing their way up towards the German border. By then, Denmark would already have suffered several nuclear strikes dropped upon them, and the Russian Navy would have tried to land troops on Schellen as well. The Danish civil defense forces were by now certainly in their local and regional command bunkers, directing emergency services and local defense forces, who would also be in place. Question is, would neutral Sweden allow Russian warships through the straits? At this time, Sweden had the 5th largest air force in the world. The Danish Navy's plan was to mine the Baltic Sea to deny advancing Russian naval forces. Would the Danish Navy have been able to collect their mine layers, some of which were civilian ferries which would have to be retrieved and refitted also? This would never have taken place in time if it was a surprise attack. And of course, was the Germans, Americans, and British forces able to slow or stop the advancing Polish land forces, followed by the Russian forces? We know NATO have designated nuclear targets all over Eastern Europe, just like the Warsaw Pact had. But it was said of nuclear war that the one who strikes first could most potentially destroy 70-80% of the enemy's troops and equipment, making victory very probable. And why waste time bringing nuclear weapons to Denmark in order to deploy them? And from what was the Danes planning to deploy these from? Airfields would most certainly have been struck first, and these were large strategic weapons, while land armies would deploy many more tactical nuclear weapons on military targets. You can game it out in many ways, but I'm glad we did not have to find out the hard way, because I really like Poland.
Dobra, okay. So Tino, here we got a storage place. So that uniforms, they are in use until the end of 1970s. Since the 1980s, they changed the color, as you can see, and they got this new mark. This is the civil defense.
Actually, it looks very similar to the Danish one.
polski wymysł tej plakietki, to jest
No, mówi,
wymysł
że-
ONZ-owski. U nich też powinno
No,
być.
mówi, że właśnie bardzo podobny, nie?
Musi też tak być, bo to jest wszystko narzucone z góry, to oznaczające ładunki niebezpieczne, radioaktywne.
So since 1980s, when they changed this mark, it was made in... kto zmienił? ONZ.
ONZ,
Yeah.
ONZ
To znaczy inaczej. To jest międzynarodowy znak
Yeah.
ustanowiony przez konwencję madrycką,
Okay.
która mówi, że ruchomości lub nieruchomości oznaczone tym znakiem nie podlegają konfiskacie przez okupanta. Ale wojna
dobra.
swoja,
No,
przepisy...
prawo swoje, jasne. So, did you understand everything?
That'll work.
That work? Okay. So that sign was created by internationals, and it means that all of the devices that be marked by this thing shouldn't been in use during the war.
Yeah, the civil defense, they're not combat.
Yeah.
That's probably why I've seen it look similar to the Danish
Yeah,
one for that
yeah, I
reason.
think so.
Yeah.
Yes.
A tutaj macie magazynek chemiczny, sanitarny.
So
I
that
łączności.
storage is for
Tu
chemicals
macie mundurówkę, tu mamy pozostałość. Przyrządy,
and all of the medicine. That
przyrządy do sprawdzania chemii, do radioaktywności, do próbki, do pobierania próbek, to wszystko są radzieckie. I one są na wyposażeniu tego schronu. Tak jak ten przyrząd rozpoznania chemicznego, tak samo jak ten kolorymetr polowy. To samo jest tutaj.
So all of the devices that we get here to check the radiosity and things like that, they've been produced in Russia. That device was used outside the building. Zdrówka. You could check the radiation.
Yeah.
Tamten?
Tamten tak samo. Też
Okay,
łapie.
so that
Ten
was
jest,
also for radiation.
The dosimeter?
tu zbierasz próbki, czyli wodę, ziemię,
You take the samples here,
Yeah.
nawet i powietrze możesz
like
sprawdzić.
a water or
Yes.
a ground and things like that.
A to sprawdzasz, co na tobie siadło.
Oh, so by this device, you can check what you got on your
Okay.
clothes.
Oh, interesting.
Do 2010 jeszcze w armii to miałem.
So they used that in the Polish military until 2010.
I mean, if it works,
So
it
if
works.
it
bardzo-
works, yeah, I think so also.
I don't have any reason to think
I
not.
dobrze pracuje.
Ja dziś kiedyś dostałem co ja z nim zrobiłem?
I'm curious. First I had to log a field of telephone around for a while.
Bardzo dobre.
So they are very good because you can just talk straight through this phone. You don't need to use
Exactly exactly the same as NATO.
Morse code or something like that.
You roll out wire, have it.
Yeah, that's
they
it.
don't even look the same. That's the ones that we had when I started. Yes. But all this stuff was left behind.
Yeah.
I love that they just left it. I mean, stuff like this has a tendency of disappearing.
I jeszcze jedna zagadka.
Is that for samples?
No, that's for water.
For water?
For water, yeah.
A water bag?
Yep, that's a water bag.
Okay. I didn't see that coming.
He got an idea to change one letter here. Because, Jackie, pokaż mi tę chwileczkę. If it says water, okay? If you change that, you mark just, it would be vodka. So, he got this joke to create.
So we're saying, let's say we're in Eastern Europe where even the words for water and vodka is almost the same.
Almost the same, yeah.
No, towarzyszu,
To ja widziałem tego, wiesz, kto tam wtedy wywoził ten, jak on się nazywa, kurczę, to mój znajomy w Urzędzie Miejskim robi. A ja w tej posłówce przyszedłem, nie, Marek, tak kurczę, zaraz sobie przypomnę. No i słuchaj, ja przyszedłem posłówkę do tego.
automatycznie.
Czy to się wpala?
Co,
Później
prowadźcie-
trzeba będzie coś tego.
O metalochromie prowadźcie do drusika.
Okej, Tino.
There's got to be a commander's office.
No,
No?
no.
That room was prepared for a guy that was sitting beside the telephone line. He was sitting here for 12 hours. He couldn't go even to the toilet. If he wanted to pee, he would have to use a bottle.
That's kind of weird.
Now, here's the question. Which of those phones would be the most important one? If it would call here. Which one?
I mean, I'll go with the black one. I was going to go with the black or the gray one.
Yeah, the black one.
The black one, right?
Yeah, the black one was the most important one.
Why?
Because that was straight from the command center.
Okay. Yeah, I figured because that's the one that calls in. You can't call out
yeah,
on
you
it.
cannot
So.
call out, yeah.
This is two best men and communists, Polish communism. Władysław Gomułka i Józef Cyrankiewicz.
He was a vice premier? Cyrankiewicz był premierem, nie?
Tak,
He was a vice premier and
Tak.
he was a first secretary.
Gomułka pierwszym sekretarzem.
And most important thing, if you take a look at the eagle,
No corona.
he don't have a crown.
Ooh.
When there was a communism time, he lost his crown.
Tak, my mamy
There's
na
no
czapkach
there's
też.
no royal crown. There's no.
Yeah.
Of course, there's no sovereignty.
Yep.
Na czapkach też mama bez korony.
Yeah. So you see, he don't have a crown also.
Of course, you can only have one god. Intercom?
Coś takiego nam też.
Intercom, wiesz.
Chcecie coś?
Pewnie posterunek.
The company that made these before World War II, and they're still in business doing the same thing.
So it works like that. You got a fresh air over there, and the air that was in use goes through this valve. But if it would go back, the valve would be closed.
Yeah. There's always a slight
Just such
overpressure
simple-
to
yeah,
keep
yeah,
the
overpressure,
chemical out. Yeah. So at least the gun cabinet is there a gun cabinet? Please tell me there's a gun
Ale
cabinet.
to nie jest na broń, nie?
Nie.
Nie.
No, it's only for documents.
Broni nie mamy, bo nam nie było.
Fine.
Yeah, they didn't have any guns. They did not allowed to have it.
A powinna być.
Tak?
Tak, powinna być i została
Ah, let's see. Machinery. Finally some machinery here. Polish?
Tak, Polish production. This is production of Andoria, Poland. Diesel.
Diesel, of course.
Diesel and przewód, który mi dostarczono paliwo.
Oh, the tank is out there.
Yes,
that's right.
yes. To jest to.
So you had diesel for 3 days or for 7 days?
Na ile wystarczało paliwa?
paliwa na 7 dni.
Na
7
7
days.
7 days.
Stoli to 10, ile? 10
tysięcy.
10 tysięcy
Ten-
litrów.
ten-
10,000 liters.
10,000.
How much water?
Ale
Water.
wody
How much
było
water
bardzo
they have?
malutko.
Just water was just.
Slum nie miał własnej studni.
I to był błąd.
So they didn't have any well. And that was a huge problem.
That's water for
This is
the
tylko
tank,
do-
yeah.
te-
But that's the
yeah,
cool.
yeah.
That's what the
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, that's not for.
Gdyby nawaliła pompa paliwowa przy podawaniu paliwa do
Elektryczna.
tego agregatu elektryczna, wtedy przechodzono na ręczną wajchę, która jeszcze słychać, że pracuje.
So if the electrical pump will be broke, you would have to operate with this one,
Yeah.
the manual.
Jeszcze czuć.
Daje, nie?
It doesn't care. I know.
Okay, so they have only 1,000 liters of water
Ale teraz
here in
popatrz.
the shelter.
So no showers.
To jest
So about the water, there is a water tank that got 1,000 liters of water. What you have to remember, if there would be a blast, you go outside to check what happens outside, how it looks. You're going back. You have to take a shower.
Yeah.
You cannot use the water from the system. You have to use the water from the tank. Every man should use 20 liters of water for one shower. You got 14 persons here in the shelter. You have to go outside 3 times a day.
Really?
So it means you use 300 liters every day. And then you have to also use the water for flushing the toilet or whatever. So you got 1,000 of liters, so you use 300 every day. You got maybe for 3 days or something like that.
Yeah.
That's it.
But they could connect to the main water system.
No,
No.
they couldn't use it.
But they are connected to the main water system.
Yeah, they are, but after a blast you cannot use that
No.
because it could be,
Yeah. So no underground well. That's a problem.
that was a problem.
That's a problem.
Na 3 dni to by ci akurat starczy. Ale ty nie...
Ale ja tak...
So you remember the guy beside the filters that was operating the
Yeah.
filters manual? The guy that was supposed to swift with him, he would be operate here. So they got a red light ready. So that guy is operating the filters manually, and this one is changing, is using the engine, starting the engine, so the electricity start to work again. So they can swift.
So he can signal to him when he can
Yep.
stop cranking.
Yeah.
Szeregowy Marcin, uruchomić agregat, biegiem. Raz, 2, 3 i już jest wystartowany.
You see, it started.
Tak by to tutaj działało,
That's it.
gdyby było...
So here we got a water tank.
Oh, that's the water tank. Okay.
Yeah.
Pomieszczenie, gdzie ładowano akumulatory dzięki tym prostownikom, które tu się znajdowały.
So this is the room when they been keeping the batteries, and they charge the batteries here.
From the generator. The
No,
from
they
the-
didn't use the generator.
They
They
charge from
used
the-
the other devices to charge
Okay.
the batteries.
Wszystko
Tak? A,
żeby-
dobra, okej.
Żeby nie upadło, żeby nie
So
spadło.
that room was prepared for conservation. Tino,
Nie ta, tylko ta.
look at this mask.
This mask.
Do you know for who it was prepared?
Like a child or an animal?
Animal?
Dziecko albo zwierzę.
Kobieta mówi dziecko, facet mówi pies. Dog, this is
Just for dogs.
Yeah.
When women came here and they asked them, for who this mask is, everyone would say for a kid,
Yeah.
for a child. So he kicked his dog and he started to, shout, and he said, "Hear that? Hear that? It's for dogs."
How many kids have a snout? I mean, I don't know about, still, I'm just saying.
Oni tym bardziej, że nie chcą przejąć pewne rzeczy. To co? Referujcie owocową chorobą.
Tą salę ja nazywam krótko salą operacyjną. Co tutaj się działo? Był tu zespół 3 ludzi, którzy nanosili informacje na tą mapę, zarówno od telegrafisty, jak i uprzednio wizytowaliśmy pomieszczenie od telefonisty. drogą kartkową, czyli informacje na kartce były przekazywane i nanosili tutaj pozycję zarówno ewentualnych ataków, jak i plany ewakuacji ludności cywilnej. Wykonywano to tym oto ołówkiem dwukolorowym. A dlaczego dwukolorowym? Dlaczego akurat?
In this room, there would be 3 guys on the duty beside the map, and they would receive a message from the telegraph, from a telephone, and they would mark our positions on the map. And they would use that kind of a pencil. If you take a look at it, it's got 2 colors. It's red and blue. And it's still in use in Polish Army. Why? Because red color is ours, and blue one, it's NATO. So use one color to set our positions and the other one to set the positions of NATO. Just how simple is that?
Yeah.
And it still works.
Red Warsaw Pact.
Tino, did you see the floor? It's not flat.
It's curving a little bit to the side.
Yeah, you know why?
Oh.
Because they figure out that if something is spread on the floor, whatever, water, whatever, it goes around the room, and that's it. So in this room, the guy would be sitting also for 12 hours. And if the alarm would start it would start it right here. And that guy would have to get all of the messages on the paper. Not that somebody is coming to him and just telling to him, start the alarm. He need to get that on the paper. He wrote that on the paper and goes to that room, and then the whole story started.
Through the window.
Yep.
Yeah, because he can't leave.
Yeah.
So this is the alarm.
It works like a, not as a phone, but all of the messages from country would go through this device.
Is it encoded or is it?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, it's like a small computer. So this one is from 80s, and that same device that you got there, it's from 60s.
It's a telex.
Yeah, like a telex. Yeah. You know, here we got a telegraph room.
Now.
Tempo! Raz, raz, szybko! Go, go, go! Go!
Cały głos przekierować!
Tędy, tak, tutaj!
Nisko, głowy nisko!
Left!
Here first. Watch your head.
Głowy nisko!
Come on!
So if
10
someone
seconds,
would
open the
throw
door.
something to the bunker, we would have to evacuate ourselves. Then we would have evacuate ourselves in 10 seconds.
Of course.
So if there is a situation, you have to evacuate yourself. You got 10 seconds to open up the doors. You want to try it?
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10!
That's it.
He's dead!
This is not a hard door to open,
not.
providing you pull it the right way.
So this is the Polish idea of the time.
Yep.
It's old.
And you see, you got your picture right here. I have one also. Like,
Dear God, hang on now.
This is mine.
Yeah, that was you. You look to.
and there you have address.
Good looking man.
Because you don't have any address on the ID today.
So, could you just move around as you wanted to
Yep.
at the time?
Yep.
There's free. You didn't have restriction of movement like.
No,
some-
the restriction was in 1981 when the war state has started in Poland. It was only for a couple months.
Oh, okay. So there was not like when the old Soviet
No,
Union,
no,
where you lived in your
no,
zone. And,
No.
Czekaj to.
Oh, they
You
used to
have
keep
left
on-
Poland, yeah.
Yeah.
But you have a passport and the ID, and they put the stamp here and here.
Okay. So they knew where you've been.
Full control. Yeah, of course. Okay, first one. Everyone had a job. Okay?
Tak było.
Second one. Everyone had a job and no one is working.
Yeah, okay.
Okay? Third one. Even so, nobody is working. The plan was 100%. Okay? Number 4. Even so, the plan was 100%. You cannot buy anything. Number 5. Even so, you cannot buy anything. Everyone had everything. Number 6. Even so, everyone had everything. Everyone was stealing. Number 7. Even so, everyone was stealing. Nothing was missing.
The end.
I think that's the Democrat Party's party platform.
The Cold War is by now, by too many people, forgotten. But I still remember going to school as we had air raid sirens test every Wednesday at noon. My great-grandmother still remembered how she would hide in basements during British bombing raids in Denmark. In America, we were told to hide under kindling or wooden tables if nuclear war came and you had no shelter nearby. It was a period of great deprivation for millions of people in Eastern Europe, explaining why they are so staunchly against the rise of communism. They saw the breadlines and the secret police knocking on the door. It was a different world that many teenagers today still do not fully understand or have learned from. And that is why it is great to see good men like these two former enemies who keep the part of history alive that we need to learn from. And why I will continue to visit Cold War locations and show you. History is important. Knowing it may save lives in the future.
Behind me is Vanna von Braun's first test stand. Down the road is Dietmar's nuclear reactor. Over there is the Maginot Line and all its amazing forts. I'm visiting them all and I'm bringing them to you. So I really appreciate you like, follow, and share what I'm doing, trying to document all these important historical locations. And if you feel like you want to watch more pictures or documents that I use for these, go to lostbattlefields.com. And if you feel like helping me out with my travels, because gasoline and travel and airfare is expensive, my PayPal is there, protectionserviceint.com. You are more than welcome, but you don't have to. I appreciate all your support and all your help, and I love seeing these locations, and I love bringing them to you.